Good morning. Very quick video today. The NCPS, National Counseling and Psychotherapy Society, which I belong to, they do an occasional survey. I think they interview about 5,000 people on their beliefs and attitudes to therapy and so on. And they've recently released a 2025 survey, and I think there were some interesting results. I will put the link to the report in the notes if you want to check all the details. I think there were a couple of things which were really interesting. Firstly, that quite a lot of people, 29% of the men and 41% of the people interviewed, said that they have engaged in an element of talking therapy recently, which is quite significant, I think. But there are two statistics which I wanted to talk about. One, which is that 75% of those interviewed said that they would recommend talking therapies to a loved one if they were in need of such mental health support, which I think is quite telling. I think 75% I think is quite considerable. Cognitive behavioral therapy still seems to be the most popular type of therapy, but closely followed by person-centered, which I personally believe in. And very interestingly to me, only 18% of those interviewed suggested that they would be happy to engage with a AI-based, virtual-based form of therapy, which I think is telling for two reasons. Firstly, that AI as a tool, we all know it has its uses, and I think if you're just looking for resources or a tool to summarize some concepts for you, I think it could be quite useful. But and this is something I fundamentally believe in, and I tell all my clients, like whatever form of therapy you engage in, whatever modality, whatever technique, whatever, the most fundamental thing in therapy, in talking therapies for that matter, is the personal connection between two human beings. And this is what I try very hard to engineer with all my clients. I think once you manage to create that connection between two souls, between two humans that generally want a good outcome and best for best outcome out of that particular relationship, then I think you're on a way to a good thing. And I don't think any amount of cleverness and processing information and whatever that AI can provide will ever really be able to replace that human connection. And I think that's a fundamental thing with therapy, and I'm quite pleased that the results have shown this. But by the way, do give this a read. I think it's quite fascinating, with anxiety coming and stress being the top two conditions that people sort of complain about and so on. I think it's quite telling, and one of the things that you might want to read about is how COVID or the COVID pandemic still influences the way we view mental health and our mental health overall. So have a look at the results and just bear that in mind whenever you choose to potentially do therapies, that a human connection, you can't beat it. Have a good rest of the day.